This courtroom drama starts off intense and only gets more unbelievable as it unfolds. In front of Judge Webster, a self-proclaimed sovereign citizen, Anthony Edward Dubus, attempts to challenge the entire legal system during what should have been a routine traffic case. He's facing serious charges, driving without a valid license, no vehicle registration, and no proof of insurance, but instead of addressing the facts, he tries to dismantle the court's authority from the very first minute. Dubus refuses to properly identify himself and claims he is appearing as sui juris in proper persona, insisting he is not subject to state laws because he's not operating as a commercial entity. He repeatedly challenges the court's jurisdiction, arguing that the charges are fraudulent and claiming he is an American state national. At one point, he even questions whether the case is being handled under common law or a military tribunal. The judge remains calm but firm, shutting down each argument one by one. He makes it clear that the charges have nothing to do with commercial driving, they're about operating a motor vehicle on public roads without meeting legal requirements. When Dubus tries to argue about the spelling and formatting of his name, the judge doesn't entertain it. When he accuses the court of violating his constitutional rights, the judge reminds him that due process is exactly what he is receiving. The tension rises as Dubus accuses the judge of treason and refuses to cooperate. Despite his resistance, the court proceeds professionally, setting a new court date and even appointing an attorney to ensure his rights are protected, whether he wants representation or not. This case is a powerful example of how sovereign citizen arguments play out in real courtrooms, and how quickly they unravel when faced with straightforward legal reasoning.
I am appearing specially in propria persona, not pro se, as sui juris.
Okay, first of all, I can't see you, so you're not here.
Appearance satisfied?
Thank you, sir. Now,
absolutely.
As far as I need to go, well, I need you back here in person.
Okay, well, it's propria persona, not in person. I'm not the legal entity that you're claiming me to be.
All right, sir, if I can't get you on camera, you're not here.
I'm doing so right now. I'm just removing it as it takes a while.
Now, the second order of business, let's get your name straight. I know a family with the same exact spelling in America, and they do pronounce it Dubus, but you said you pronounce it
Dubus, as the original Dubus, as the original French. Yep.
Very well, Dubus.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Mr. Dubus appears in person and pro se.
Correction, propria persona.
Well, in this court, it's in person. And
correction, in all courts, it may be either pro se, either appear in person, or propria persona.
Well, in my years of law school and nearly 40 years of practice, both as an attorney and a judge, it's been in person, and that's what I'm going with, sir. I believe that is just fine. So in any event, we will proceed with your charges. In count one, sir, you're charged with operating a motor vehicle on a highway of this state without having a valid driver's license pursuant to KSA 8-235A. In count two, it is alleged that on or about the 17th day of August, 2023, in Butler County, Kansas, you did then and there unlawfully operate or attempt to operate a motor vehicle, to wit, a 2003 Honda Accord, upon a highway of the state, to wit, 1700 block of East Foxdale Street, Andover, Butler County, Kansas, while the vehicle was not registered in violation of KSA 8-142. In count three, it is alleged that on or about the 17th day of August, 2023, in Butler County, Kansas, Anthony Edward Dubus,
Do boost.
The boost,
Thank you,
to
my
then
honor.
and there unlawfully and intentionally drive a motor vehicle upon a public highway or property open to use by the public and fail to provide proof of insurance upon demand by a law enforcement officer. Now, sir, if you had insurance when you were stopped but just didn't have it with you or couldn't find it quickly, just provide proof to the county attorney and they'll most likely dismiss that charge. But if you really didn't have insurance, you're looking at a Class B non-person misdemeanor. The law does require a minimum fine if you're convicted of $300 up to $1,000, and it does have a possible jail sentence up to 6 months. Those are the charges. Again, you do have the right to an attorney. You can hire any attorney of your choice, but if you cannot afford an attorney, you can apply and see if you qualify for a court-appointed attorney. You don't have to have an attorney, though. You can waive your right to an attorney and represent yourself. So that's an order of business we need to take care of today, is whether you want an attorney or not. And then another is to make sure that you understand what the charges are and the possible penalties. Do you have any questions for me about that?
Yeah, I don't understand the nature and cause of the charges. I have not had my accuser face me to bring the charges against me, as is a violation of due process. And I want to correct, for the record of the court, the named defendant is different than the named person, being myself. Hold on, let me make sure I get that in view of the camera. The named person here is different than the one named in the charges and the counts, being a difference of representation of who exactly it is the charges are against. And it is to my belief and knowledge that per KAR 8243 subsection A, exemption from the motor carrier safety regulations, A, the occasional transportation of personal property by private motor carriers that is not for compensation and is not in the furtherance of a commercial enterprise. I am exempt from these rules and regulations, and if I need to get a USDOT number to show that I was not operating a commercial motor vehicle or as a common carrier for business or for profit or in the furtherance of a commercial enterprise, I will be more than happy to produce that USDOT number to show that I am in fact a private motor carrier, not operating in commerce, not driving, as I'm merely transporting and traveling.
Mr. Dubois, you are not charged under the Uniform Commercial Carriers Code as adopted by the state of Kansas. You are charged just as a motorist operating a motor vehicle. Again, not a commercial vehicle. These are not laws that are subject to the commercial code or to the administrative regulation that you referred.
Although you mentioned the word operating, operating is a term used for the commercial furtherance of a commercial enterprise, or driving, operating, the physical use or furtherance of for-profit business or for compensation.
It may under the commercial code, but not under the code otherwise.
It is under Kansas, correct?
It is not under Chapter 8 of the Kansas statutes or Chapter 40, which you're filed under. But we can address that at a later date at a trial or a motions hearing if necessary. But I do not see the statutory language that you're addressing being applicable to these statutes, at least preliminarily at this hearing.
It is within, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's my ruling there. And then on the name issue, I am not tracking you there. The only difference I see is that at the top of the document, state of Kansas and your name are capitalized, and in the initial or in the individual charges, its traditional capital letter of the first name, all lowercase of the remaining names throughout. So I'm not following that argument. Again, if you want to readdress that at a later date, we can, but I'm just not seeing that argument.
Okay.
Now
Well,
then,
I motion and move this court to dismiss this case, and I have filed, and for the brief in support of motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction.
Sir, I do not have any such motion or brief in support. Mr. Regier, have you received any such document?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor, and so I fail to see, at least at this juncture, how such a motion is properly brought before the court, unless the court is aware of something that I am not aware of.
Well, that's what I'm trying to decide, if it's properly before the court. Mr. Dubois, who did you file the motion and brief with?
Well, seeing as your guys' e-file is down for what is it? It's called a ransom malware or something. I cannot e-file.
Right,
so
but you can mail it, or you can walk it into the clerk of the court. Have you done that?
Yes, I've mailed it. By email, which a court.
I'm sorry, when I
could.
Okay, go ahead, please. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, you're fine. It was by email, which the court clerk said I could, considering the e-file was down. And I can't really go 20-something miles to do that, considering my personal property was stolen.
When did you email it, sir? When did you email it?
A while ago.
Judge.
Yeah.
Yes.
We do not accept emailed filings, only faxed or by mail or person.
Okay, I was told that they do not have fax, so I could not do that. So email would be okay.
He may have called the wrong courthouse then.
They spent 10 minutes finding my case because your guys' system was down. So I'm fairly certain it was the correct one.
Okay. Do you recall which you filed or which court you called?
Let me go to my sent. T. Stafford at bucokansas.com.
I think that might be at the county courthouse, not the district courthouse.
Okay. So if you want to file something, sir, let's make sure you file it in a fashion that will get it officially recognized. So, Ashley, how do you suggest he file motions and the like?
He will either need to mail us a copy of it or he can fax file.
And is your guys' fax active?
Yes.
You are about to witness one of the most unusual courtroom hearings in recent memory. Judge Webster presides over a case that, on paper, should be straightforward. The defendant, Anthony Edward Dubes, is facing charges that are simple yet serious: driving without a valid license, operating a vehicle with no registration, and failing to provide proof of insurance. Any ordinary defendant might enter a plea or at least answer the court's questions without argument, but Dubes approaches the hearing in a way that completely defies normal legal procedure. From the moment he takes the stand, it becomes clear that this is not going to be a typical traffic case. Dubes refuses to simply identify himself in the standard way. Instead, he declares that he is appearing as sui juris in propria persona, a phrase meant to suggest that he exists as some kind of separate legal entity, distinct from the state's authority. He insists that because he does not operate as a commercial entity, he is exempt from all state rules and regulations. The courtroom, normally a place of routine procedure, transforms into a stage for a confrontation between sovereign citizen ideology and established law. Dubes' strategy is consistent with common sovereign citizen tactics. He challenges the court's jurisdiction repeatedly, calling the charges a fraud action, and asserting that he is an American state national, which he believes places him outside the reach of the legal system. He even questions whether the proceedings are under common law or a military tribunal, framing his argument as if the court itself might be illegitimate. The judge listens patiently but remains firm, making it clear from the start that the charges have nothing to do with commercial activity. The law applies to anyone operating a motor vehicle on public roads. Whether someone sees themselves as a private traveler or a commercial carrier does not matter. Throughout the hearing, Dubey's attempts to create distinctions between what he calls his living person and the legal entity represented by the printed name on official documents. He claims that spelling, capitalization, and formatting somehow change legal responsibility. These arguments may sound complex, even sophisticated to someone unfamiliar with the law, but the judge repeatedly shuts them down. The explanation is simple: regardless of how names are written, the charges are for operating a vehicle illegally, and nothing else. Dubey also attempts to cite federal exemptions, arguing that private motor carriers have special rights that allow them to bypass state regulations. The judge explains clearly that these exemptions do not apply in this context. Operating a motor vehicle on public roads requires compliance with licensing, registration, and insurance laws, full stop. The courtroom is tense as Dubey continues to insist that the system is defrauding him, framing every procedural rule as evidence of a violation of his rights. At several points, Dubey refuses to appear fully on camera, a symbolic gesture he believes protects him from legal liability. He accuses the judge of treason and of violating his constitutional rights. He cites the Sixth Amendment, claiming he is being denied due process, even while refusing to follow the standard procedures that ensure those rights. The judge responds with calm authority, emphasizing that the court is providing him every opportunity to participate fairly, even going so far as to explain the rules for filing motions correctly, by mail or fax, not email, as Dubey had attempted. As the hearing progresses, Dubey grows increasingly frustrated. He frames routine legal requirements as personal attacks against his freedom. He insists he does not need an attorney and rejects every offer of counsel, yet the judge recognizes the importance of representation. To protect both the fairness of the proceedings and the integrity of the process, the judge appoints an attorney on his behalf. This is a pivotal moment. The court ensures that his rights are preserved, whether he acknowledges them or not, showing the balance between individual claims and the obligations of the law. Dubey continues to argue, often repeating the same claims with slight variations. He attempts to use legal-sounding jargon, asserting complex distinctions between entities, states, and statutes. Each time, the judge counters with clarity, consistently grounding the discussion in actual law and precedent. The courtroom becomes a stage for a battle of ideologies, one side representing personal belief systems that reject statutory authority, the other representing the legal system's insistence on order, procedure, and responsibility. One of the most striking aspects of the hearing is how Dubey frames every legal requirement as an overreach of power. He treats registration, licensing, and insurance requirements as unconstitutional impositions, insisting that his private status shields him from the law. This pattern is familiar in sovereign citizen cases, the idea that personal interpretation of law can override established statutes. Yet in practice, the legal system does not accommodate these beliefs. The judge's role becomes both reactive and corrective, addressing each claim while maintaining the courtroom's authority. Even as Dubey challenges every point, the judge's responses remain consistent. Each argument is addressed with precision and simplicity. The distinction is clear: The law regulates behavior, not ideology. Regardless of how someone perceives themselves or frames their identity, obligations such as licensing, registration, and insurance are non-negotiable. The courtroom becomes a lesson in how legal systems manage attempts to circumvent rules through belief rather than compliance. The tension peaks when Doobies accuses the court of violating his rights and even suggests criminal culpability on the part of the judge. While these accusations are dramatic, the judge does not respond with emotion. Instead, the focus remains on facts and procedure. New court dates are set, and legal representation is ensured. Every move reinforces the principle that personal ideology cannot replace legal responsibility. By the end of the hearing, it is evident that sovereign citizen arguments, while presented confidently, fail when tested against established law. Dubus's strategies, including jurisdictional challenges, claims of special status, and refusal to comply with procedural rules, are consistently dismantled through clear legal reasoning. The case highlights a broader reality. Courts are equipped to handle even the most complex ideological arguments, as long as procedure and law are followed. What makes this hearing so compelling is not just the clash itself, but the lessons it offers. It's a vivid demonstration of how the legal system functions when confronted with resistance based on belief rather than compliance. It also shows how patience, clarity, and adherence to procedure allow the court to manage even the most disruptive defendants. For viewer, it's a rare glimpse into the intersection of ideology, law, and accountability, a real-life example of how the justice system navigates challenges that go far beyond a simple traffic violation. Throughout the session, every argument Doobies presents is met with calm, measured responses. The court remains unshaken, ensuring that the focus stays on facts, legality, and responsibility. The appointed attorney will now guide him through the process. The new court dates will provide additional structure, and the case will continue according to law, not ideology. The tension, the claims, and the courtroom drama all serve as a striking reminder. No matter how intricate or confident the arguments may seem, personal belief does not override the law. By the conclusion, the hearing leaves viewer with a clear understanding of both sovereign citizen tactics and the practical limits of such arguments. Dubus's insistence on exemption and sovereignty collides repeatedly with legal reality, providing a rare window into the challenges judges face in managing such cases. The courtroom becomes a stage for the constant balancing act between individual assertion and societal rules, between ideology and enforceable law. The outcome is not just about this one traffic case, it's a lesson in the primacy of law over personal interpretation, a cautionary tale for anyone who believes that legal obligations can be bypassed by ideology alone. This long, unfolding narrative captures the tension, strategy, and ultimate futility of attempting to use sovereign citizen arguments to evade responsibility. It also underscores the steadfastness of the court system and its ability to maintain order, enforce procedure, and ensure fairness, even in the face of repeated challenges and theatrical defiance.
Our fax number is 316-321-9486.
Okay, and my honor, I have one last question. For the nature and cause of these charges, is it a criminal or is it a civil matter?
This is a criminal matter.
Okay, as is a criminal matter, there are two jurisdictions which I may be tried. One is the common law, and the other is a military tribunal. Which of those two do you intend to try me in?
I intend to try you in this one, sir.
Which is this one? Please elaborate.
The criminal one.
Well, criminal has two jurisdictions. It is either the common law or it is the military tribunal.
Well, sir, we're not going to go into that at this point.
Are you refusing to acknowledge to me and tell me the nature and cause of the charges?
I have told you the nature and the cause of the charges.
You are not elaborating.
I think the remaining issue, sir, is whether you're going to hire an attorney, apply for court appointed, or represent yourself.
My Honor, I need to know whether or not this is going to be in the common law or a military tribunal.
Well, I am going to ask you one more time. Are you going to hire an attorney, apply for court appointed, or represent yourself, sir?
Again, I'm not representing myself. I am sui juris in proper persona or propria persona.
So you're not going to have an attorney, or are you?
No, I'm not going to be presented or re-presented by any British agent, registrant, or anybody else to be a ward of the state. I'm standing on my rights, and I do not abrogate them. And if you're going to continue to move this court without any sort of evidence, well, I guess I'll have to file that. But
we're going to set your hearing. How do you want to plead to the charges first? Then, if you don't want to have an attorney, how do you want to plead to no valid driver's license?
My Honor, are you attempting to administer the trust without permission and consent?
I'm asking you for your response. I'm giving you the chance to respond. Do you want to plead to this charge or not?
My Honor, I don't make any pleas, as I am appearing in propria persona, and any plea would submit jurisdiction to the court. I am here challenging jurisdiction under the common law, as I am owed the law of peace, and this is a fraud inducement from the beginning under due process violations from Deputy Khalid Barake and the other officers or sheriffs that were on scene. And if you are attempting to administer the trust without consent of myself, the living man, the grantor, in common law, which is above Admiralty Maritime Law, then you will be in violation of Article 3, Section 2, the trial of all crimes, except in case of impeachment, shall be jury, and such trial shall be held in a state where said crime shall have been committed, but when they are not committed with any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. And as there is a difference between the Republic State Kansas before the state of Kansas was brought into the Federation of the Union of States. And you will also be in violation of I'm getting it real quick. 18 U.S. Code Sections 2381, treason. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States, the corporation, not United States of America or for America, levies war against them or adheres to the enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason and shall suffer death or shall be imprisoned not less than 5 years and fined under this title, but not less than $10,000, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. Now, I, Anthony Edward Dubus, the proper case trade name, not the all caps legal entity of which you're attempting to administer the trust of, am an American state national, a Kansas state national per 8 USC 1101, subsection 21, and is recognized by the Kansas Human Rights Commission as I have dealings with them going over my nationality in regards to a corporation in which I have a complaint filed against, has already been refused mediation by the company and is being investigated by Barbara Carper, the special investigator of Kansas Human Rights Commission, over my case specifically. And if you are attempting to move this case against myself, you are in violation of executing law rather than just judging on it. Which, if I need to pull up that statute
Sir,
or case as well.
Sir, do you still have the same phone number you had posted on your bond that you have with AAA Butler County Bail Bonds? Is that still your current phone number?
My Honor, Mrs.
316-252?
My Honor, Webster, it is, you may call me either Anthony Dubus or Anthony Edward Dubus. I do not accept the term sir.
Very
Although,
well.
yes, my phone number is still the same at 316-252-9724.
All right. And is your address, okay. Addresses iPhone needs to be locked. And Mr. Dubois, is your address still homeless, or do you have something more specific at this time?
They refuse to put down my address. I am within Wichita, Kansas, rural free delivery within the 4-corner rule 67202, aka the brackets around 67202. And they refused to put down my rural free delivery address and put me as homeless instead because they could not accept it. They refused. Also, Deputy Khalid Barakay, when I was taken to Butler County Detention Center, refused that there were any magistrates at all within any of the courts, which per due process of common law, I was to be taken before a magistrate or a tribunal, both judicial, either Article 3 or 4, in front of a magistrate judge to be decided whether or not I was even within the jurisdiction to be tried for these charges or commercial crimes.
Your next court date will be 2 weeks from Monday. What do you have, Ashley? 2 weeks from this past Monday. What is it?
I believe that is going to be Monday, the 18th.
All right. Mr. Dubois, your next court date is December 18th at 8 a.m. by Zoom. You can always appear in the courthouse personally if you like. I am appointing Attorney Darren Patterson. Now, if you don't want to use him,
I do not accept any appointment of any attorney.
But I show that you don't have a specific residence. Do you have a job, employment?
I did, and then these actions against myself from the state of Kansas caused me not to have it anymore.
In this court's opinion, mixed federal law and state law and other sources of law that don't all go together.
May I elaborate?
Want him to be available to you. I think we have exhausted this particular hearing, the purpose of which is merely to make sure you know what the charges are, the possible penalties, and your rights that I have gone over with you, including your right to counsel, which I'm hearing you say you don't wish to utilize. But nevertheless, I'm going to direct Mr. Patterson to at least be available to you, that you be here again December 18th at 8 a.m. by Zoom. And I'm going to continue your bond until that date and time. So anything else, Mr. Anthony Edward Dubois, please take that up. Thank you. Please take that up at the next hearing after you've had time to talk to Mr. Patterson.
Okay. My last final thing I want to say is I'm already filing Kansas Commission on Judicial Conduct complaint against a judge. And that would be the prior judge, Mr. Mr. Lee, I believe. And I will be adding you to the complaint as well, as you are violating my due process right and my Sixth Amendment right.